This week's episode is brought to you by NYXI Gaming and the Flexi controller. What sets the NYXI Flexi apart is the ability to change the left stick and D-pad around, so the sticks are either symmetrical or asymmetrical, so you can swap the controls to your preferred Xbox or PlayStation layout. You can connect the Flexi to PC, Mac, Nintendo Switch, Android and iOS, and it comes complete with Hall effect sticks and triggers, as well as mechanical micro switch ABXY keys and RGB. Latency is non-existent in both wired connection and via the included 2.4 GHz dongle for wireless connection, as NYXI have done a great job with the 1000 Hz polling rate, meaning your inputs are lightning fast in game. Check out our full review over at podcastversusplayer.com to find out more, and use promo code PvP to get 10% off at NYXIGame.com. Now, back to the podcast. Hello, welcome to Podcast vs. Player episode 304. I'm one of your hosts, Callan, as always. I'm joined by a man whose doctor told him he has the biggest prostate he's ever seen. Brown noser. Turny bloody Dan. Hello. We are late this week, Dan.
Yes, absolutely we are.
With good reason,
though. Good reason.
Jinx.
That's it, we
I can't say anything now. But no, we have good reasons, which we'll get into momentarily, Dan. But how are you, sir?
Oh, I thought you were going to go into a sponsorship ad then.
It's already rolled before we started.
Fine. Yes, I'm
That's what I like to hear.
Yep.
I too am.
You?
Yeah, man. Right? It's been an all right week, and it's starting to get a little bit nicer weather-wise.
Oh, as soon as I'm leaving work and the sun is still out, it's usually a pretty good sign. And it was about 13 degrees, Callum, which is
I don't think it hit that high here. Historic.
Probably. I don't know. Like most of the world, I'm not fact-checking anymore. I'm just going to say things until someone can prove me wrong.
Which probably won't happen.
No, probably not. It's right. There's 4 people that are going to listen to this anyway. None of them are going to check the weather.
And they're all American. But now I knew it was going to get nice because I finally took the fans into storage out of the way because I just left them on the landing. Because I was like, I'm going to need them at some point. So they've just been out since summer. Not out, but I was like, I'll just get rid of them. And then literally the day after, the weather started getting nice again. I was like, you son of a bitch, I'm going to have to get them back out again in a minute. But no, we are late, Dan, this week. We're recording this on a Friday instead of Wednesday because Wednesday was the premiere for Daredevil Born Again, episodes 1 and 2. And obviously, we want to talk about it on the podcast, but we couldn't watch it and record it because that would be ridiculous. So we're doing it today instead. Or we're doing it today, rather. So first things first, spoilers. So if you haven't watched either episode 1 or 2 of Daredevil Born Again, go and watch them and then listen to the podcast and see if you agree with what we have to say about it. But minor, without going into spoilers straight off, what did you think? Did you love it? Did you hate it?
I did not love it. I did not hate it. I think it's interesting. I think they're building back up from what the Netflix show was to sort of reintroduce things a little bit, but also make it a little bit more accessible for those who maybe never watched the Netflix ones, even though people have no excuse now, because if you're watching Daredevil Born Again on Disney+, the Netflix Daredevil's on there as well, as is Jessica Jones and Defenders and all of them. So, you've got no excuse to watch it and go, I'm lost. I have no idea what's going on.
Is he blind?
I think that the majority of the people that are going to be watching this are the ones that have watched the Netflix show, loved the Netflix show, and wanted to, see what they were doing with this. It's the only kind of we've had a touched on Daredevil with She-Hulk, with Echo, with Spider-Man, very, very, very briefly, obviously. And I think that this is, again, it's kind of a slow burn. It's building. I don't think it's building to anything. Oh my god, unbelievable! I think they're just doing quite a good job of just reintroducing the characters so far. Again, we're just talking about purely 2 episodes at this point. And I would imagine that is very much something that is. These 2 episodes were designed together to be released together, so it's just one sort of feature introduction kind of thing. What do you think?
I liked it. It was I mean, I've been watching the original Netflix series leading up to the release of Born Again, and I didn't get around to finishing it completely. But through the episodes 1 and 2 of Born Again, I was like, the tone's there, and with the exception of some dodgy CGI, which we'll touch on shortly, it was shot mostly the same, quite a cinematic.
It felt very similar. Like the sting from like the original theme song is still there. So they're still sort of like, it's definitely this same dude. It's just, we're doing something a little bit different with it.
I did really like in the bar when Foggy goes to make the phone call outside, and then it shows you, you get like the bloom effects to highlight that he's listening, and then the aspect ratio changes to full screen, and then as it zooms in on Foggy, it goes to 16:9 again, just indicate that it's. And I really like that.
Zeroing in on it,
yeah, and that was a cool effect. But what I noticed after finishing it took like a little bit of thinking time afterwards, and then I went back and finished season 3. That I was still catching up. Not catching up because I've already watched it. But there's no grain in Born Again, so everything's really clean. And I think if that grain was there from the Netflix ones, I think that would have helped with, it wouldn't have eliminated, but some of that dodgy CGI that we see at the beginning when he's using like the billy clubs to swing and whatnot. I think it would have helped muddied it a little bit, but because it looks so clean, the imperfections show quite a lot. And I always thought of the Netflix ones, Daredevil was the most polished, Punisher included. Like I really, really enjoyed Punisher, but it was like, you got like Netflix was the mum and dad, and they had a favorite child, and that favorite child was Daredevil, because obviously how successful it was. And I think that little thing of that extra bit of love seems to be missing from this. And no, it's not bad. I enjoyed both episodes, but I remember watching season 1 of Daredevil and just being like, "Holy fucking shit!" Where's this been? Yeah. And I didn't get that same feeling from this.
Unfortunately, though, I feel that that's probably true of a lot of different things.
Yes.
When you're sort of first exposed to something, like when you first see, a new show that that there's maybe not even there's not anything like it. There will be things like it. It's just that it hits the right notes for you.
Yeah.
And it just sort of like you're like fucking hell. But then you go back and they remake certain elements of it, or they go back and they try and recapture some of that. The Matrix and stuff like that. They go, well, we're trying to just recapture a lot of what was. But you go, well, you haven't captured that same kind of feeling for me. And yeah, I think I'm kind of in the same camp that I want to watch the rest of it, and I don't think I can wait week for week for I'm not going to wait until there's a bunch of. I think I am going to have to watch these as they're coming out.
Stacked.
Yeah,
staggered.
Sorry.
No, I said stacked, but I meant to say staggered.
No, I'm going to watch them as they're coming out.
Yeah.
So I just don't think that there's. I just don't think that there's anything in it just yet where I'm like, oh my god, I could think about this all week. When you sort of looking at something like your things like WandaVision, stuff like that, oh my god, I could have sat down and talked with everyone about that and just been like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Like, it was just sort of a bit mad and a bit maddening. And this, it feels like it's playing it quite safe and close to, we want to show that it's a Disney show, but it's still like the Netflix one. It's still a bit grubby and it's still a bit awful. But it doesn't feel grubby and it doesn't feel awful. But if you were to think, I love the fact as well that we'll kind of sort of move into the spoilers a little bit, or just sort of meander into it, but they're doing like a bunch of these sort of like on the street interviews with people, and people are just sort of like, oh my god, like the city's absolutely falling apart, like, it's just crime all over the place and blah blah blah. And I'm like, aren't the Avengers still based there? Is the Spider-Man knocking around? Aren't like all the heroes based there? Is that not still the case? Is the Avengers campus?
But especially after the aftermath of No Way Home, where Spider-Man's was like, I ain't going to fucking space no more. Back to the streets, friendly neighborhood, Spider-Man started. Obviously, this isn't verbatim
surely
what
he would have sorted most of this stuff out. He's fought aliens and shit, man.
And he's referenced as well.
Yeah, which is a nice little touch as well. And I mean, I would love a Spider-Man. Like, you don't have to have Tom Holland, but just someone swinging past and, you know, just trying to help out Matt or something like that. That'd be a hell of a thing.
It's not the same, but in Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man cartoon that's on Disney Plus, Charlie Cox reprises his role as Daredevil in that.
Oh, interesting.
So I wouldn't say that it's the same Daredevil, obviously, but I think Tom Holland would be on board for a cameo, like even if
Maybe,
it is just a swinging thing.
No, but they wouldn't be able to do that. They'd say, no, he's got to have FaceTime. He's got to be in it. And if he's in it, then we've got to have him addressing something. And then it's like, okay, well, it's like the Book of Boba Fett, the Luke Skywalker kind of thing, where it's just like, well, half the episode is going to be explaining as to why he's here. And then it takes away from the person. And then you've lost an episode, basically, of 8 episodes that's dedicated to somebody else that you're far more interested to watch the show about, you know.
I mean, I suppose they could do it as a link, because I know there's still talks of doing a Daredevil to like small screen to big screen crossover. And if they were ever going to do anything with Kingpin and Spider-Man, you could start it there, I suppose, where like that post-credit scene is PS, like looking at a newspaper or something like that. And
also, Doctor Strange is based there.
Yeah, that's all.
How is he not just wandering around the streets, just fighting random bad guys and stuff?
This is why I expect to keep it in Hell's Kitchen.
It seems like, again, if this is sort of like, oh, this is set between the period where all the Avengers are fucked off into space or been blipped away or whatever, then yeah, cool, you know, everything's falling apart and he's got to step up to sort of help out. But that's well and truly over at this point.
Well, so, I think the timeline, because the Netflix ones was relatively close to the actual real world time. So if it was
I mean, it was a couple of years after the first Avengers. So, like, you know, there was Hulk and Thor, and everyone knew who they were and whatever. I don't really want that sort of like big crossover. If anything, the fact that the Punisher's in it, the fact that, you know, we could potentially get Echo in it, the only kind of crossover that would work for me from film to this, again, not including like Spider-Man, because that's too big. I think if Shang-Chi showed up in this,
maybe
as you know, like just like a supreme fighter, and you know, you could just wipe the floor with basically anybody. Yeah. That, you know, because you've already seen Daredevil go fucking ham on people. But if, you know, they need to call someone in to kind of calm him down a bit, because he seems a little bit unhinged. Yeah. At this point, which I kind of love. So yeah, let's hit on some key moments then, if you want to think of it like that. So the first episode, the first 10 minutes, spoilers, Foggy is shot and killed, which is, that took me off guard. Like, because it happened so quickly. I didn't even see it the first time. I was eating lunch as I was watching this. And then it was just Karen just going, Foggy! And I was like, wait, what happened? And then rewound it, and then it's just like, pow, and he was down.
I actually said to Zoe, so like at the beginning when they're walking out and they're laughing and joking and stuff, I said to one of them two's going to get killed. Not at this moment in time, but this season. I didn't expect it to be 5 minutes into the episode, but it just seemed there was a lot of like, what you call it, like when somebody says something in a movie and it's like, don't worry, I'll be right back.
Oh, foreshadowing.
That kind of feel, foreshadowing. Yeah, it just had that kind of feeling about it where they're all happy, everything's going really well, crime seems to be really low.
I thought they were just all dead happy because they were all, you know, they got another TV show.
Well, that's the thing.
I'm working again. I'm going to get paid for this. Back on the Marvel radar. Oh.
Well, in the original version of Born Again, they wasn't included. There was only Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio that was coming back, and
makes sense.
The when it was rejigged around with these new writers, they said we gotta get the other ones, we gotta get them pair back as well. Yeah. And then to go through all that fight to then go, by the way, you got like 6 lines, dude.
Yeah, you're coming back, but then you're just going to be white. Like I imagine that he's like they're going to do flashbacks or. Yeah, no doubt.
Well, he does. He goes to hell in the comics, and Daredevil has to go get him. I don't think they're going to do that.
That'd be a hell of a Mephisto Agatha.
I mean, if that's how you want
Ghost
to introduce
Rider kind of thing, that would be quite good.
There has been a few incidents where Foggy has died, but there's also been instances where Karen's died as well. Obviously, it's a storyline they're not going to do, but there's one where Kingpin gets her addicted to heroin and uses that addiction to get information on Matt and whatnot. But doesn't need to, because he already knows who he is.
I think if Karen had been killed, that would have, the Punisher would have been involved then.
Yeah.
And he would have been like, well, I'll go after him. You don't need, Daredevil to have to cross this line. Frank would have been like, I don't care if he's in prison or not. I'll fucking get myself admitted into prison to then find him and then kill him.
I'll do it again.
He's already done it. Yeah. So, that did take me off guard. It was all very sort of like chirpy and cheery, which is kind of how it felt during She-Hulk as well. It's still not a real explanation as to why there's two different costumes at this point. So we have them a bit more jovial, a bit more jokey, and then bang! Now now we're in Netflix tone mode, and his best mate's dead. We're a year later, and he's still not feeling particularly great about it.
Glossed over a bit there. Rooftop Bullseye.
Oh yeah, so
the
return of Bullseye. I'll be honest, Callum, that was the first fight of the new season, and I was just not into it. It felt very sort of slappy, kind of like, there was no force behind anything. Bear in mind, by the time that fight starts, he's already shot outside.
Yeah.
Like, by the time, he should have been fucking wailing on him the second that he got there, whether he was going to, save him, Foggy, or not.
Yeah.
He already knew what had happened. He should have just been tearing him apart. And it just felt really overly choreographed.
Yeah.
Like, it was all sort of like, there was just people just reacting to punches. Like, it didn't feel dangerous and visceral like the Netflix ones where you saw those and you were just like, Christ, I think these people are actually beating the shit out of each other.
When them two, like their fight at the newspaper place in
office.
season 3, that's really brutal. That's a really brutal fight. That was without Foggy or Karen being in any immediate danger or anything.
Yeah.
And from the looks of it, he was going to shoot Karen as well, and it's only because obviously Daredevil come and swung in and kicked him through the window. But it was like, we need to get this Wanner to show that it's the same kind of feeling and everything else.
Yep.
And it wasn't awful. I've seen way worse fight scenes, way worse. But it didn't have the... I mean, you've already touched on the reason why, but there wasn't that like emotional, visceral moment until the end of it. No, that bit on the rooftop was really, really good.
Was much, much better. Yeah. Like, cause they're fighting their way up the stairs. They're both kind of like, oh, fucking hell. They're covered in like stab wounds and knives, and they're all beat up, in the space of like 2 minutes or whatever. Yeah. And then he gets him on that rooftop, and he just goes, fuck off.
Yeah.
And just shoves him off. But in that kind of Batman Begins way, or Dark Knight, sorry, where he's just sort of like, fuck it, what are you going to do? You can't threaten me from this height. You won't kill me. And he's like, yeah, I know. And then pushes him. Do you think that he was just like, if he lives, he lives. If he dies, he dies. It could go 50-50 at this point. Or do you think that was purely...
to kill him?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
he was cut up enough about it to be like, oops, I shouldn't have done that.
He says it in the diner where it's like, it's in the trailers and stuff anyway, but it's like, why would you stop being a vigilante? And it's like a line was crossed. But I suppose you could see it as the line was crossed. I went to kill someone, or the line was crossed because someone I care about was murdered because of me, kind of thing. But all of them, Daredevil, Batman, Spider-Man, they've all murdered multiple people over the years, unintentionally. And the fact that, I don't think Daredevil knows. Well, obviously, at the end of season 3, Bullseye gets the operation for, I forgot what they made up a metal for. In the comics, he's got adamantium. But obviously, that didn't exist in the Netflix universe at the time. So he had this unbreakable metal type structure in his spine. but he landed face first. So he should have died from that height after the beating he'd got and the stabbings and everything else. There's no way he would have survived that. But it was good, and it was enough to make me go, huh. They're not pulling the punches, and we get a main character dying immediately. We get to see stabbings and blood and everything else. It's not She-Hulk. This isn't Agatha. This is...
Yeah, it's not playing it safe.
It's dark and gritty. But I had an equally good time just seeing Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio just chatting in the cafe.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. That whole interaction with them, it is sort of like it's like an old detective and an old gang leader.
Yeah,
sort of sitting there just going like, yeah, well, we've done this long enough to know, you stay in your lane, I'll stay in my lane.
Yeah.
We'll call it quits. We won't get in each other's way. But when Wilson's like, I need you to know I didn't have anything to do with that. I actually believe him.
I don't think he did.
I don't know who's got him on the payroll or made him do that, but I don't think it was him. It was probably Vanessa, to be fair.
It seems more likely that that's the case, but
because I reckon that's what will happen is that this is angling towards that she's now going to be Kingpin.
Yeah, it hasn't shied away from her showing us that she enjoys this part of that world.
But that's the thing; she enjoys the running of it, the profit of it. But
yeah,
would she pull the trigger? Probably not. So maybe that's the thing that makes her, like, if she was in that situation, she'd go, oh, I don't know, actually. Or, seeing the realism of what her, her actions and what this business is doing. Or that could turn her completely and she'd be like, actually, I'm into this. And then,
it doesn't bother me.
It's Wilson who then goes, you're not the woman I fell in love with. You're not this art gallery curator or whatever.
Matthew Murdoch. My true love.
Yeah.
But there's that, because I'm pretty sure Vanessa doesn't know it's Matt.
No,
so
I'm pretty sure he hasn't told anybody.
No, like obviously he knows. That like Kingpin knows.
That's true.
But it's why Foggy and Karen? Because I'm pretty sure even Bullseye doesn't know.
Didn't Matt put Wilson away though?
Maybe, yeah. So maybe the target was all three. But only two of them were there because obviously he'd already gone by this point.
They called in the fake tip to get him away, which means that... So it was either Bullseye acting on his own and he knew that Matt was Daredevil. So put a fake tip in with the safe house so he'd go to do that and then he could kill his mates.
Potentially. So it's got to be someone that knows who it is.
Presumably.
And Vanessa does, unless obviously Fisk's told her. But that not in the same way, but that equally puts her at danger.
Well, just as it does the new therapist girlfriend that he's got.
Yeah. Which is even more annoying because in the comics she gets under the influence of the Purple Man. Obviously, that's not going to happen.
Well, he's real dead.
That's what. We're not going to see that storyline play out. But that would have been a really interesting. And that would have been a better way to introduce Daredevil and Jessica Jones into each other's lives.
That's true, actually, yeah. But they've always had to have that Karen sort of will they, won't they kind of triangle. But then again, he's
he banged She-Hulk.
So what's going on with there? That's the thing. I'm not entirely sure as to, unless he binned the red suit that we saw at the start and that yellow and tan suit that we saw in She-Hulk, that's his new suit, the one, because it was the same one in Echo, wasn't it?
No, he had the red one on in Echo.
Oh, then I don't know, mate. Why has he got?
But it's in that first trailer though. We see the different coloured masks. So he's obviously got multiple suits.
He has got a few then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure that very first. I assume it's Muse, but see the person in the thing. We only see like the arm of it. And then Daredevil's thing. I'm sure that's an all-red suit as well. But I've only watched that teaser trailer and then the first trailer, and I didn't watch any of the other ones.
Yeah.
So there may have been more information that we're speculating on that's actually already been answered, but I don't want to spoil it. But Fisk, again, we've seen him popped up in Hawkeye, again in Echo, now again in this. He's amazing. But again, that was another great line between seemingly two, not friends, but frenemies is a really shitty term, but where it's like... Right. He's like, do you have children? He's like, no. He's like, you? He's like, no, I tried to mentor someone. So did this shoot you in the face? He's like, kids this generation. I was like, what a great line.
Yeah, he can take a bullet to the face like a champ, that guy.
But I like him. I really do. He's a great Kingpin. And it was addressed in this, but he's a lot smaller.
Yeah, I can't imagine it. It's just... You don't want to be that big constantly, do you?
I don't know whether is it a visual thing? Because obviously Matt references it. Is like you lost weight, you've gained muscle, you're stepping lighter or something like that. But do you think that's just like a visual thing for the people to go, I'm not the big, massive Kingpin anymore.
I'm just dead strong now.
Yeah, I'm just the mayor. Like, I just want to, like, I don't know whether it's a thing they intentionally did, or he was just like, I'm not doing all that again.
Maybe. I mean, I'd like to think that they're sort of moving into the more sort of like, he's a lot stronger than he should be. So he can't just be just a ginormous guy. He does need to be pretty jacked. So we've slimmed him down a little bit. But I do like the fact as well that with the introduction of White Tiger in this, he's just in a police interview or whatever, and he's just sort of like, he's got this mystical amulet. And no one's just sort of like, what are you on about? Like, because there's no one that could question. You go, what do you mean? That's nonsense. You go, there's a wizard that lives down there. There's a god that lives in that tower over there. Like, is it so unbelievable that someone could have a mystical amulet that gives them powers or whatever? Of course it's not.
But I really like that because like there's so many films and shows that'll be like, again, you've got mutants with abilities, or there's just monsters running around, or whatever the shtick is for that particular thing. And then something will happen, and they'll go, "There's a bat guy flying around." They go, "Yeah, whatever." And then they never believe them, and then they get murdered or whatever by it. It's like, well, why wouldn't you believe them? There's a dragon, a half tiger, half dragon person here.
Yeah, I mean, most of the people living in New York, you were there when an alien invasion happened.
And that's like you see, it's in Marvel stuff as well, but it's nice to see that in this, where it is just, he didn't have his magical amulet, so we can't use that against him.
You're lucky, yeah.
But that's like such an outrageous technicality for like, because it's basically equivalent of if you stolen evidence, it's inadmissible in court, and because this guy's White Tiger, but he wasn't White Tiger at the time, we can't use that. And he's like,
I do like that. The sitting down with the judge and just being like, look, we're not, you're not here to question his vigilantiness because he wasn't in vigilante mode. It's the same as like, Moon Knight he's not possessed by the thing. He's not that guy at that specific time, at that specific point when we're questioning the legality of whatever he's done, or did he kill that cop or whatever. Also, a subway platform in New York doesn't have a security camera. Also,
on the assumption there's no security cameras there, why didn't the cops just go, NYPD, it's nothing to do with you?
Oh, because that's clearly like it's like a cult thing, or like like in Watchmen there's like Rorschach's cavalry or whatever. Same kind of thing. It's people who twisted it's like a copycat twisting cult thing where they go, you know what, we've been police officers for 10 years, we're not getting anywhere, crime's getting worse and worse, we've got to take matters into our own hands. So I reckon that guy that they were beating up probably is a bit of a scumbag. Possibly. But obviously Matt's whole thing would be like, well, it doesn't matter, you can't just kick the shit out of him, you're supposed to be police, you can't beat him up in custody. Precisely, that's the whole problem he had with Frank in the first place. And that's not someone who's there to protect people, he was just taking it upon himself. But clearly these would be like, it's been sort of like a subset of cops who are just sort of like, that guy's got the right idea, and as long as we can sort of do it and we can justify it ourselves, we can kill the unjust because it makes the street safer.
But it begs that question, though, doesn't it? Where the amount of time, Batman's the prime example. If he'd have killed Joker years ago, millions and millions of people would probably be alive, kind of thing. But it still makes it morally and ethically wrong because it's still murder at the end of the day. What they need to do is make Arkham Asylum more bulletproof and able for people to escape. But it's that.
Just put a big moat around it.
I mean, there's a Killer Croc could get out, I suppose. But,
well, you're electrocuted as well.
But that's the thing.
No one's getting out then, are they?
All Bruce Wayne's got to do is just put billions and billions into it to make it fortified.
No, all you got to do,
and that would solve loads of problems.
You use your fucking billions and billions to just create like a GPS tracking serum that you can just inject into them. You'll know where they are every day.
Oh, that's similar to Waller. The Suicide Squad teams.
Yeah, I mean, don't blow them up, or you just go, here, Warden, I wouldn't encourage you to explode them.
Well, even if it just incapacitates them, like just electrocutes until they pass out.
Here's just a device that, if some of the big ones get out, if you feel that you want to blow them up, then you have the option there. But that's your choice. I've got nothing to do with it.
I mean, that's technically, he's not done it. Because that's no different than somebody pulling a gun on somebody and just shooting them.
Yeah, but it's different when you've given them the gun, loaded it, pointed it at someone else's head, and then said, well, if you pull the trigger, it's not my fault.
Look, la la la. But that's the same thing here, where you almost expect Castle to pop up, and like from this conversation from season 2 of Daredevil, he's just like, you're just one bad day away from becoming me.
Being me. Yeah.
And then that day's come, Foggy's been killed, and his first instinct is just push him off the fucking roof. Yeah. And that's all it took. Granted, he didn't die, but it's that seemed to be enough to just go, I'm not doing this. I'm just going to save people as Matt Murdock instead of as Daredevil.
Yeah.
But it's a similar premise in, obviously, you all but one caught up on Invincible, where we spent the entirety of this season with Mark going, I fucking killed a guy. And then it turned out I didn't.
This is the worst thing.
Yeah. But then it's that case of if he'd had have done it, bad things won't happen. And it's that, is it right or is it wrong kind of thing. And all comic book heroes face this ultimatum, like further down the line, like Spider-Man and everyone. But it is hard as I suppose as like a bystander in New York or Hell's Kitchen or wherever they are, to go, why don't you just fucking kill him? like
if it's getting that bad, then people would be looking up to the Punisher to be like, at least someone's stepping in and actually just showing them, because that's probably the only person outside of the Avengers who will kill without question. That's the only sort of local friendly neighborhood vigilante in a cloth, whatever. That's the only one they'd be well, no, probably not friendly. But that's the only one they'd be like, oh, no, please just take me in.
Yeah.
Just arrest me. Because that guy will skin me, or he'll rip my eyes out, or he'll break all my bones, or whatever, and I don't want to deal with that. So just take me in, please, Daredevil. Kick shit at me a bit, then take me in. Do not leave me to that guy.
That's the thing. I mean, it's in his name, so...
I know, but that's the thing. We don't get a huge amount of that. The only thing that we've had is, he's killed a lot of people, but it's a Ghost Rider thing. It's supposed to be enacting vengeance and punishment against the wicked. It's not to the same degree of you burnt that kid alive, so I'm going to set fire to you. But if he's got time,
check my schedule.
It's like, I've got some dry cleaning I've got to get in 20 minutes, so I can really do some damage in that length of time.
The thing is, there's no exact, obviously we've talked about Punisher quite a lot on here, but there's two sides to how they handled him, and I wasn't overly looking forward to Punisher showing up or Punisher getting his own show, mainly because really in the comics he's pretty one-dimensional. These people are bad, I'm going to fucking kill them. That's his thing. And it doesn't make him less interesting, but that makes it less interesting in a TV show because it's just bad guy of the week, shoot him, bad guy of the week, shoot him.
Yeah.
And they massively got around that in the Netflix show, in Daredevil and in his own 2 seasons, by giving him a lot of depth. And I know they changed little aspects, but I think it worked for the better. But the one thing that they didn't do was the punishing. Lots of murder, like a little bit of torture here and there, but
it was probably only
enough.
against like Jigsaw that he really actually like went out of his way to really fuck him up.
Yeah.
But actually, like you say, almost in like a Dexter kind of way. Like he wants to clear out 60 dudes at once, but the one that he's after, he'll take his time with him.
Yeah.
He'll make sure that he dies awfully because
that was brutal as well. That was the fair
the
glass
right into the glass.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if they're not just an absolute blubbering mess of gristle and meat and blood, then he hasn't really done a very good job of punishing someone. He's just killed someone. But that's what terrifies, because he'd just be like, oh my god, I do not want to go up against that guy, because it's not just the fact that I'm going to die. I'm not going to die well.
I think it's not going to be quick and painless.
Unless you're lucky. If you're going with 20 of your mates, because you'll just get a quick headshot and you'll be out. But
maybe, yeah.
But do you reckon, though, that when he does show up, it will be because he's not happy with these guys? You're like, who the fuck are you? You don't have my mission. You don't have
that's going to be the thing.
Particular weird moral code.
Yeah, they're going to be like, look, we're the same. We're the same as you. And he's going to be like, you're not. Fuck off.
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
I'd love if they had some kind of reference of that to Batman. But that's what I think will kind of draw him out. Or Matt's gonna he's gonna be like, why are these people wearing this? Like, are you like the leader or whatever? And that'll draw him out. But it is that he might just come out and then he might get Matt and he's like, I want to sue these guys for copyright infringement. That'd be a real U-turn.
Yeah, not so much punishing as litigiousing. It's like, I trademarked that, actually, thank you.
But that's he's not going to be happy about it. And he's repeatedly said, like, I mean, with in season 2 of Punisher, where he's, I forgot what was Georgia Wigingham, I think her name was the girl in it. I can't remember the character's name though. But like, he reiterates to her a lot, like, what, this isn't good.
Yeah, I know that this isn't. I'm fucked up, and this is all based on trauma.
Yeah, and that'll be the same thing here, where they're like, we're doing your work, and he's like, no, you're meant to do it the other way.
Yeah, you're supposed to be the ones who are stopping people like me.
Yeah,
you're supposed to. I'm supposed to have your back by doing the things that you cannot do, but you're supposed to be taking the high road and stopping people like me. And it's never as if, like, they had the same kind of storyline in the Punisher, the Ray Stevenson Punisher Warzone. He's going into a whole mob like base basically, and he murders everybody. And then some dude just comes through a door that he wasn't expecting, and he just puts one straight through his chest. And it turns out he was a secret, he was an undercover cop. And then he just went, I'm out then.
Yeah.
Like, he was just like, okay, well, I've killed a cop. I shouldn't have done that. Takes however many, it's like 100 grand or whatever to his wife and kid, who pulls a gun on him, and he's like, yeah, shoot me. He's like, I deserve it.
Yeah.
And then the whole story kind of backtracks from there, from him just being like, I'm out. I thought I was doing the right thing. Even in the wrong way, I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And then I've killed technically an innocent.
But there's still a line.
Yeah, even, but again, that's the personal Punisher. They've already done quite a good job of explaining his outlook on this during Daredevil. Just saying, you put them in prison, they'll only come back out again. Like, especially the bad ones, like your Kingpins or whatever, they're only going to keep on coming back. I get a hold of them, and they're out forever.
Yeah, I'll put them down for good.
You can't say that I'm not effective. But clearly he wasn't effective, because apparently he knew it was full of shit.
Yeah, I mean,
So he didn't shoot enough people, did he?
you can take out all the people that Frank killed, and it's the same as like the Hydra thing. Is like you cut off one head, two more take its place, and there'll always be villains and scum and murderers and whatnot. But there's seemingly only one Punisher, and for the little that we've seen of White Tiger, seems to be quick to jump in to defend people. But it seems to be he's doing it the same way as Daredevil, where it's like apprehend them, hand them over to the police.
Yeah.
And
take the innocent, whatever. Yeah.
if it's the police that have got the Punisher skull tattoos, they're probably just going to beat the fuck out of them and maybe murder them. So it's like, well, may as well cut out the middleman. And
well, I mean, they went to that fella's house and Matt was there as a lawyer, and they were like, well, we better just kill him then, I guess.
Yeah,
like that. You know, if that's someone who's just taken the Punisher's line of, you know, kill the guilty because that stops them. What the fuck's a lawyer done?
a blind lawyer.
A blind lawyer, exactly. Yeah. Like that's you see what I mean? Like they've taken his morality and his ethical code of, you know, just put them in the ground by any means necessary for the betterment of the city, blah 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 blah, whatever it is, you know. So what happened to his family doesn't happen again. Yeah. But instead, they've just twisted that to basically anyone that's going to stop us from doing what we want to do.
Yeah,
we'll kill them.
Too much.
But they're attributing that to we're part of the Punisher crew, and that's just what he would do. That's why, if anything, I think that's going to be why he gets involved. Yeah, because he'd be like, "Oh, you have no idea what I'm trying to do.
Now I need to hunt you." Because
like I tracked cartels and biker gangs and all that all across the fucking country, and I killed every one of them.
Yeah.
You're just a corrupt cop now, murderer, and you went to kill a lawyer. Yeah, you fucking arse is grass. But what's interesting though is, sorry, go on.
No, I was just gonna say that whole scene. I know there was a reason for it, but it was an unnecessary fight. Because as soon as they opened the door and they saw Matt, they should have just walked off. Because he can't see them, and they know he's blind. It's like, well, we can't do what we came here to do, even if the guy was there, because there's a fucking lawyer here. So we'll just fuck off. We better go. Yeah. But then they pulled a gun. They beat shit out of him a bit. They pulled a gun on him. It is just to incite him to beat them up. I say beat them up like he gave them a couple of taps. I mean, that was the one where I was just like, oh, bloody hell, that's a great scene.
Like when he just snapped that guy's arm, and I was like, okay, that, if anything, that should have been the first fight. That first one with the, you know, it could have been like a mad chase across the rooftops or whatever. Also, all the CG of him running across the rooftops and swinging around, terrible. But that should have been where that broke him. And he's, you know, he was, but then he like flipped that guy over and smacked his head so hard into the floor. There is no way that guy survived that.
But that was going to be my next question. Obviously, he stopped being Daredevil because he tried to kill Bullseye. Obviously, we know it didn't work because it went to trial and he was there.
Yeah.
And then these guys, he's lost his shit because they was obviously going to kill him. But there's no, out of the two of them, maybe one might have done. But like you say, that one that landed on his neck, there's no way he survived.
No.
And there'll be countless, like when he goes to save the kid, like in season 1, like the first one that we see when he's fighting all the goons who took that kid. Loads of them would have died. Fucking loads of them. And it seems to be that one person, not just Daredevil, or again, like going back to the other ones, like all comic book heroes that I don't murder. But I have indirectly murdered a lot of people.
Yeah. But also that means that if they haven't been killed, so let's just say that they're both really fucked up, they both know that they went there. They can't obviously say, oh, that lawyer attacked us, because they're like, what were you doing there then? But they know that lawyer, that blind lawyer, he did this.
Fuck ass.
How did he do that? Like that's not fighting that a lawyer should know. That's It would just open up a lot more questions. So I think the easiest way out of it would be, they both died.
Yeah, they're dead. Yeah.
So now he's starting to step over his own line. And if that's what brings Frank in, to be like, what the fuck are you doing? I don't want to have to take you out because you're the bad guy now. Like,
yeah.
That there's a lot of different ways that they could play that, or they're both just really fucked up and they're in hospital until they just admit to hospital and then they're just forgotten about.
Which is another likely outcome.
Or he finds Frank to be like, can you do me a favour? These guys are in a coma at the moment. Can you kill them both?
They potentially might know my identity.
Yeah, just like, I know you can go to Doctor Strange and he'll wipe people's memories, but yeah, you're really good at that as well, to be fair. And there's less chance of breaking reality when you do it, because you just stab them to death. That's usually a bit more effective than trying magic spells.
I assume they're going to be dead, and then it's going to
imagine the Punisher with a sling ring. Oh my god,
that'd be amazing.
Just zipping around, just like, yeah, sorry, I've got 20 more people to kill today, so I'm just going to pop over to the Amazon.
That would be a great, I don't know what show you could do it in, but like in Old Man Logan, when Logan and Bullseye and Hawkeye have travelled across, and they get to like the Red Skull's territory, and he's wearing like Captain America's mask, and he's got bits of Iron Man armour and everything else. But to get out of it after he's had the fight with Red Skull, Logan he's got like different people's stuff. So he's got like Iron Man's gauntlets and the boots so he can fly, but he's got Cap's shield so he can block like repelling attacks and stuff. But if like you had like this museum of like, here's some old Iron Man armor, here's Doctor Doom helmet, here's this, and you just got Frank just like with a shopping trolley. Just like, take them. It just comes out as this like weird amalgamation of all these Marvel characters. That'd be amazing.
Like a Super Skrull.
Yeah, effectively, yeah.
Yeah.
Which we've kind of already had, but the less said about that, the better.
Probably, yeah. God, remember that. What a terrible show.
Awful show. But saying that, though, this is actually the lowest, well, based off the 2 episodes, Rotten Tomato scores, this is the lowest rated Daredevil show. Still high, still over...
82, 80 something.
Yeah, it's still high. It's not low,
yeah.
But it's the lowest rated of the Daredevil seasons. But there's also only been 2 episodes. So
that's what I mean. I don't feel that you should be able to rate per episode. It just seems as like it should just be, unless it's like an aggregate of, okay, by the time that one was a bit okay, that one was good, that one was great, that one was great, that one was great, that one was okay, and then it aggregates for the whole season.
Yeah. That's what'll happen by the end of the run.
Maybe. I mean, this is like, I'm far more interested in this than what they've done with some of their other shows. Like this, like I say, this is the only one where I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have to watch this one week to week.
Yeah.
It mainly because they are setting some intrigue out for like, okay, well, we got like this weird Punisher clan. Frank is obviously in it. We did see him in the trailers. Is Kingpin?
Is he legit?
What's therapy going to do? Is he going to not realise the error of his ways necessarily, but, what's it going to take for him to revert back? Are we going to get Echo? Is Jen going to make an appearance? Is she going to be a prosecutor? Is there going to be some bigger MCU connection that's going to come through? Is he going to be approached by Doctor Strange? Do you know what I mean? Like, they're all within, like, a 20-minute drive of each other.
Yeah, especially now.
Like, surely there must be something. Not to take away from this story, but, he's literally been with Spider-Man. He doesn't remember that now, but... Oh,
yeah, that's a good point, yeah. Because he would have been part of the spell.
Yeah, he won't remember it. So it's...
But he'll know there is a Spider-Man. Kingpin does.
Oh,
so.
Yeah.
So he must
presumably they all do. Yeah. But then if Jen, if her deal is, she's a representative for the super community or the powered community or whatever, surely someone like White Tiger, if he's got a mystical amulet or whatever, would she not be?
Maybe that's the thing. Maybe she will pop up in that capacity. I don't think she will, purely because of the negative reaction to the She-Hulk TV show.
But some of the best stuff in that was when he showed up. So it needs to be reciprocal, doesn't it? She needs to pop back up again. Not necessarily in full Hulk mode, but that would be good. He's getting.
I wouldn't be against it.
he's getting a bit overwhelmed because he's a bit out of practice or whatever, and then she just comes out of nowhere and just starts throwing people through windows, and she's like, "Hey, Matt, remember when you banged me? See ya." There's your cameo.
If she'd have been there, they fucking would have survived.
That's true, actually. Yeah, he needs more Hulk-powered friends, doesn't he?
Yeah, she could just stand in front of him and properly finish him off
permanently. Yeah,
but say. Sounds like we've got a lot of negatives, but I still rate it very highly. I did enjoy both episodes. There was bits like, as you mentioned, CGI is not great. It's cool to see Daredevil in that almost Spider-Man capacity of swinging around and stuff, but do it better. Like chuck some money in it, or don't do it.
Yep.
Simple as that. I was fine not seeing that before, and you could have even just had it where we get to see Daredevil for the first time in the costume on top of a roof. He just jumps down. That would have been more than enough. We've put up with that with the Netflix version. That would have been fine. But it's...
You've got Disney money. You wanted to do this show. You've got to go all in. You know, you give them a blank check and just say, make it as good as the Netflix one. And you've got a much bigger budget because we want to do something with this guy. This isn't like a one and done. It can't be. You know, we want to bring him in, you know, get him in the Thunderbolts or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, there'll be something that he can do to kind of cross into this world. You put him in Spider-Man. He didn't need to do that.
That was a cool surprise as well.
It was, but again, it was a fun little cameo, but it's not like it's the Krasinski fun little cameo where they were planning on doing something with that. You've got to put money in it, or give people more time to polish this sort of stuff out. I really hope that there's some other scenes where he's sort of like flipping about and doing some cool stuff. But yeah, it's just like you do it at night. And I know that he operates mainly at night, don't get me wrong, but you're doing it at night. That's usually you get out of jail free card to make it, you know, maybe not amazing, but you know, you can pass a lot of it up because it's dark
rain, smoke.
But if it's dark and rainy, and it still looks no good, it just means that I just don't think that they've either put the money or given people the time to sort of polish it out. But and it's not like it's a new release game where you can just patch it and then, you know, in a couple of weeks it'll be fine. That's what people are going to see.
We've seen it now. It's too late.
And it's a bit sort of like, you know, I mean, the suit looks still great.
Suit looked really good. Helmet looked a lot better this time as well.
Yeah, I agree with, because it doesn't look like it was just sort of clunky and a bit on his head skew-if. And I really can't knock anyone in it. Like, I think that casting-wise, I think, you know, getting in with this new partner who was like, you know, someone who knew Foggy, Karen, and they're just like, there's just this incredibly strange relationship where they just pulled away from each other. They just haven't been able to find their way back to each other. Again, you know, Karen is another in with Frank as well, where he could be like, look, you know, the thing is that he can't see. So he can't see the tattoo on their skin, surely. Yeah. Unless he reads like a report or something like that. They go, oh, they got these Punisher skulls.
That's what it's going to be.
Hey, Karen, do you still keep in touch with Frank? Can you, you know, tell me where he is or arrange a meet or whatever? Yeah. And then that's when they... But, you know, from the trailer, it looked like they bumped into each other.
Yeah, I mean...
you know, he's got him up against a wall.
I think, to me, it looked like he tracked Frank down and then Frank's jumped him. Obviously, and then he's like, it's me. Well, he's like, red or whatever. But, like you say, from what we've seen of episodes 1 and 2, it was, episode 2, even though we got to see the tattoo, Matt didn't because he can't see. So
not to that degree. No, I don't think you can see, like, patterns and stuff.
No. I mean, like, they gave the only example that we've seen of the Netflix one is the... like everything's on fire kind of thing, and it's like making shapes out.
It's like a wireframe, though, isn't it?
Yeah, not even that. It just looks like a room on fire, and then periodically things go into shape. So like you can tell there's a person there, or there's a vase, or a bowl, or something. But you couldn't be able to see a fucking tattoo anyway. No chance in hell. No, maybe it's Braille.
No. That's a very specific idiot tattoo.
That's a skull. But yeah, there's going to be reports, and then he's going to put 2 and 2 together and go, these are the crooked cops, the Punisher lights, acolytes.
Are you thinking next episode maybe?
Well, we've only got is it 9? episodes. I'm pretty sure it's 9 when I had a quick cheeky look.
I don't know, no.
But it's also been split, so we've got like 9, or whatever the number is now, and then next year are the other ones.
Right.
So they like split it into 2 seasons, but it was all filmed together kind of thing. So I reckon if we don't get Frank on, maybe the next one will be focusing on the skull tattoo, and then the next episode after that will be when we see Frank pop up. In what capacity? Could just be for one episode. We don't even know.
I don't know. I mean, to have a link to him rather than they just happen to cross paths again. Like, if there's this one dude who's got this tattooed on his wrist, clearly there's going to be others.
Yeah.
So there's already your pull in your draw to have him brought into this story.
Did it just show us the one, or did they both have it? Or
I
did
only
we
remember
just
seeing
see
it
the
on
one?
On the one. Potentially the other one did, I don't know.
Not worth a look.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, it just screams that it's almost like that this is the same New York from the Netflix one, because having all of the Avengers just sort of minutes away from you, basically, and New York itself is falling apart as a result, it just seems a bit bonkers.
It would make more sense if this was filmed in the interim of like Endgame. So the blips happened, but there's no way Kingpin, Vanessa, Foggy, Karen, Matt, none of them were affected by the blip. So, and we know it's after the fact because it's referenced and stuff. But I'm pretty sure they make a reference about it. Well, they must because of Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's true.
So it'd either have to be after Civil War or after the aforementioned Avengers movies. It's the best way of telling is mobiles. What phones do people use? Yeah,
it would be nice if everyone just, like in like movies in the 90s where they just be like, and it was like date, time, this is the location. Start doing that again, so you can literally write out, okay, well, this is where this is, and this is the time of this one.
Well, that's
so you know where everyone is doing things.
Well, you just go, we didn't specify the time. So if something is inaccurate, you can go, it's like you've got the year wrong. But I mean, it's very, very based around like Ulrich's. Is it his niece, the reporter? Yeah.
Ulrich, yeah.
This is like YouTube personality type of reporting, TikTok. So it's got to be like in the 2020s. It's got to be. But that'd be interesting to see how her story plays out as well. Also, begging the question earlier of, is Fisk going legit? Is he trying to be a good mayor and stuff? And then he's just like with so the but then you've got the police commissioner who's retiring, and he's just like,
it's like, you're a scumbag, Fisk. It's like, hey, that secret kid that you've got? And he's like, yeah, okay, all right, I'll stay around for a bit, I'm sure.
Like, he's not fully legit then. But cheesesteak sounds rank.
I've had cheesesteak sandwich. Like there's a place in Manchester called Fat Pat's. Shout out to Fat Pat's. And they do a Philly cheesesteak sandwich, and it's fucking unreal.
Is it good? Because it doesn't sound appetizing to me.
It is just think like shaved beef with just like good. You've got to do good quality cheese, but like Philadelphia cheese, that sort of smushed together and just on a sandwich. It's meat and cheese on bread.
I think it's in my head.
As long as using decent quality ingredients for those three, it's a winner.
Then just like Morrison's like 90p loaf.
No. There's no like American cheese slices or whatever used in that.
Like what are they, like the Kraft singles?
Exactly, yeah.
But in my head, it's a steak and then just cheese on the top.
No.
That's what I think of, and I know that's not the sandwich.
It's absolutely not true. No.
It's just that's just the first thing that comes into my head. And I was like, because people like in the war used to have like milk and steak, and that doesn't seem like it goes together very well.
True, but wasn't that also just because? Well, I don't think they just have steak anyway, because like steaks, that's as like a
no, it'd be like boiled potato, steak, peas, and then you'd have a glass of milk.
Yeah, but milk could be like, because people got cows, you can get loads of milk. If you've got local farms, whatever. If you live in the city, milk's probably not a thing, but it's probably fresher, and that it's fresher than like water, which has been bombed to shit or whatever.
I suppose. Again, that's looking at it from the war. And then if it was ketchup and fucking cornflakes, that's all we got. So that's what you're having.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just didn't seem like milk's quite filling in itself, and steak's quite filling in itself. So I suppose if you want to get full quickly, that's one way of having it. Maybe I'll start having milk with pasta. Just a glass of milk and a big bowl of pasta.
I wouldn't suggest you do, no.
But no, overall, I really like it. It'll be interesting to see where it goes. Be interesting to see if Foggy stays dead. There is a story in the comics with, I won't go into it in case it does happen, but that involves some like fakings of sorts. But I don't think we're going down that route because they had presumably a funeral and stuff, because Matt still carries the is it in memoriam? What's the the booklet for a funeral thing?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a name for it. I thought when he picked that up, it's because there was like a reunion of the day sort of thing. That was like the anniversary of his death or something.
Well, the first thing I thought, because it shows you the scene where that's on the counter, and then Matt's picking out a suit, and then obviously he puts the suit on, and then he picks that thing up. And I was like, a year's a really long time to wait for a funeral. I thought really that's where he was going.
Yeah.
But because we didn't see the funeral, it must have happened, and Matt's still of the impression that he's dead, and Karen's of that impression.
Yeah, but again, they'll do some sort of flashback to the funeral where Matt says something to Karen, or she's trying to get comfort, and he's just like, no, fuck off. Like, she'll be like, don't go and do... Because potentially in the future, is... like, that's when they do the trial, isn't it, with Bullseye? So if he's like, oh, go and find him, I'll fucking kill him, and I'll do it properly this time. Yeah. And she's like, no, you can't be that. You wouldn't want you to be. Do that. Yeah, he wouldn't want you to break that code. You've already kind of come close to it, and that's what's driven them apart a little bit. Maybe the stuff to explore there without just being like, he's dead and that's it. Yeah, he's a prick now.
Because it just seemed to be that we are going to see that what's gone on, obviously, but it seemed to go from everything's real cool, everyone's dead happy, they're back to that will they won't they thing. No, they fucking hate each other. And there's no explanation. Like, the only explanation we've got is Foggy died and they drifted apart. Yeah. But everything they've been through together, as the three of them together, and also just Matt and Karen, it seemed that, I suppose it's like real life, though. You'll have something that happens that as a...
paper bag out of the bin.
That'll either make you closer than ever, or it'll just ruin everything and send everything spiraling, and that's obviously what's going on here. But there's also the part of me that thinks, because they wasn't originally going to be in it, they've put them in it so they could do this shock value thing, and now they've sent it to San Francisco.
Yeah. And
that bit doesn't sit very well. I don't think that's what's happened, but it is obviously a possibility. But so far, really, really like it. And I think it's about time we've had some quality Disney Plus Marvel stuff. Like, we've had some things.
We're getting there, yeah.
And I think if anything can kind of pull it out of the wreckage, it'll be this. But it could equally go the other way. And look how good Echo looked when we first saw that trailer.
I know, but that's the thing. That's why I think that they probably ramped up the. You need to be breaking bone. You need to be seeing it. Like, Echo was supposed to be like this. It's like Daredevil, but
they said it's our first R-rated. Things like, I'm not sure how.
You don't feel it. Like, again, you need to hold that up against, like Daredevil and things like that have paved the way for things to ramp up, and those ratings they're getting their money's worth out of those ratings now. They go, there's going to be dicks exploding and whatever. Yeah. Someone just getting punched really hard in the face, that doesn't cut it anymore. If you want that kind of like shock, oh my god, this isn't the universe that I'm aware of. Like, this is what Marvel's about. This could be Like, obviously, Deadpool and Wolverine was much more like that. But again, it was sort of silly violence.
That's
Whereas,
more, they say, like comic booky, silly stuff. Whereas the good thing about that I always felt with, even with Iron Fist and stuff, I suppose, the violence never seemed gratuitous. It seemed quite realistic, and Daredevil's fighting this guy. Yeah, he's going to break both of his arms so he can't fight back, and then he can get him sent to prison and stuff. Whereas, obviously, Deadpool and Wolverine is a lot of Deadpool's lost his arm, this guy's had his head chopped off. It's all just really silly comic booky things, and Echo had none of either. It didn't seem very R-rated, and I mean the first 10 minutes of this seemed a lot more brutal than the entirety of the first season of Echo. I say first season, I don't think we'll be getting another one.
It's probably the only one. I think she will probably show back up.
Which I hope so, because she was interesting.
It was, and if anything, it's going to be in this because they've already seen each other, I guess.
Plus, you've got she's got that connection.
Yeah, she could be like, I'm coming back to fucking finish him off this time. I thought shooting him in the face would do it, but
clearly not.
Apparently not. So I've got to come back and have another crack at him.
There's not even a scar.
I mean, there is. It's just, it's not too bad considering he took a bullet to the face. They should have got Hawkeye to sort him out. He knows how to fucking kill people properly.
But that's the thing. If Ronan had been around in this time, I don't think Fisk would still be around.
No, he would have chopped him into little pieces.
Hawkeye did a good Punisher. Just in a far better outfit. He looks way more stylish.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Clint show up, though, in some capacity.
I don't know. I mean, I imagine that when they were filming a lot of this, he was still in recovery, wouldn't have been?
Yeah, I mean, he's walking around and stuff now, and I think he's been filming stuff so far into this year. But this
I don't know, because I think he had his
last year,
accident in
wouldn't
like
it?
2021, 22, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. But there's no reason we couldn't have oh shit, I forgot her name.
Kate.
New Hawkeye. Kate.
Hayley.
There's no reason we couldn't see Kate show up.
Hayley something or other?
Seinfeld.
Yep. I really like her.
I really enjoyed Hawkeye. Of all the shows we had on the slate,
I always forget about it, but that was actually really
quite good. It was really good, and it was the one I was least looking forward to. Maybe not least.
Because again, it's just based on a character. You just go, oh well, that's the least interesting of all the Avengers, but I get it's probably cheaper to film it as well.
Yeah,
you can't go like Asgard Adventures, and it's all gold and monsters or whatever.
And again, it's like the power of hindsight and after the fact. But it makes sense because on paper, like what you got to do, you can't do a Hawkeye movie because it's not going to be great, really. But
you call his mates.
Yeah,
like there's no one that he could go up against that's that big of a challenge that he couldn't go. Can just one of you come down here because automatically you're going to be able to beat him. And
that's not fun and exciting and interesting. Whereas a TV show that delves more into the he's getting a bit old and haggard and he's gone. The one thing that I still love and I don't think gets talked about enough is the fact that because of all the explosions and stuff that's gone on, he's basically gone deaf. And I think that kind of stuff's really interesting to add that little bit of extra dimension to a character. But whether we see that again in anything else is up for debate, I suppose. But yeah, I'd like to see Kate or Barton show up. I think that would be interesting. Even Black Widow, even though she's dead. But
I was going to say that's also being able to afford Scarlett Johansson.
No, I suppose.
If they can't do their CG properly, mate, they're not paying for her to show up. And
maybe that's why they couldn't afford the CG.
Oh yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe we've got a whole ensemble team that's going to show up and go, look, we know it looks bad, but look who we got to show up in it. Full costumes, magic, the whole shebang.
We've got Thanos back, but we've actually just had to paint Josh Brolin purple because we got the rest of the CG. But no, I mean, like obviously Daredevil and Black Widow have got that relationship, and they've dated and stuff in the past as well. But obviously, we're not going to see that. But
no, but Yolanda, is it?
That's what I mean. You could just swap her out for a sister.
Yeah, I mean, but she's also doing Thunderbolt stuff now, and is she a bit too big?
She's getting quite famous now. I mean, she was already. Oh my God,
Florence Pugh.
Pugh, yeah. And I really like
maybe.
her.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think she's really quite good in Hawkeye as well. And I just think that her doing Thunderbolts, the actress herself being quite big and therefore probably more expensive now. Yeah, that you probably missed your window for someone like her.
Yeah, I mean,
and again,
maybe
Haley
Harbour.
No, again, I think with Stranger Things and that looming on the horizon, trying to get him would be real difficult.
You gotta look at your low level stuff.
You'd have to be trying to get someone who would do you a favour, or they're contractually obligated to do it.
I suppose you could get someone. Who was original roadie? I forgot his name.
Oh, fucking was it Mostef? Was it?
Oh god, that's gonna really bug me.
Was it Mostef?
No,
it wasn't. It was Terrence something. Or something Terrence.
What's his fucking name?
I think it was. Isn't it Terrence Howard?
I'm sure it is Terrence something.
It is. Yeah, I was right.
Yeah. Get him back. He ain't doing nothing these days.
I bet he's. I think didn't he try to sue someone or something?
Yeah, he tried to sue not Marvel. Who was making
his agents or something like that?
Yeah,
whoever tried to get him more money.
Well, the story apparently was because he got paid more than Robert Downey Jr. for the first Iron Man.
First one, yeah.
And then he took a pay cut for Robert Downey Jr. But then obviously when the next one come around, Robert Downey Jr. was getting paid like $50 million or whatever the fuck it was. And he kicked off and said, like, I want the same, and they wouldn't. And then one of the writers or the producers or directors then cut his parts down, so he wasn't in it as much. And then they basically just said, well, he's not in it, so we're not even going to pay him what we originally said we were going to pay him. And they cut it even more. And then he walked, and then they got Thingy in, and then
now
paid him even less.
Yeah, but now he's got an entire career out of it. Sometimes you just got to stick with it, man.
Yeah, I mean, now, like, looking back, they did the right thing in terms of backing the right horse, like with Robert Downey Jr. But at the time, this was like a make or break thing for it. Like it was
a make or break thing for Marvel.
Oh no, I just meant like it was a risk.
Oh, I see.
Taking Robert Downey Jr. on like prison and drugs and everything else. And then this seemed to be the thing that turned everything around for him. And obviously that paid off dramatically. But there was every possibility that it wouldn't. But yeah. Hold on. Sorry, I was getting a phone call. But yeah, I don't think there's anybody that just springs off the top of my head where you go, that'd be an awesome cameo. That could happen. Like you say, your Hollands and Chris Evans and whatnot, they're all,
I'll tell you who,
well out
Benedict
the window.
Wong.
He showed up in She-Hulk.
He did show up in She-Hulk.
That's not a bad shout.
You know, well, no, I was going to say because he's not still supreme. He is.
He is now.
Yeah.
He could
but
just
that's
be
the
there.
thing. Strange should be the one who's dropping in and out. But I think it'd probably be, for a studio, it'd be probably cheaper to get Benedict Wong to pop in and just be like, what are you doing?
I'll be honest, it'd probably be cheaper just to get Ned. Ned's got the sleeve.
Yeah, you can summon Spider-Man on command. Yeah, you'll do.
I mean, suppose you could probably get Paul Bettany.
Nah.
He's already in the TV space with WandaVision.
Been in an Avenger movie, you're probably not going to get.
Well, maybe. Except Benedict Wong, obviously.
Yes, he's been in most of the Avengers. Like he was in.
That's what I'm saying. I said apart from Benedict Wong, because you said anyone that's been in an Avengers movie, we won't get. But I said,
I see.
Oh, except for Benedict Wong. But
yeah,
I suppose you could get like Abomination or something.
I don't know. Tim Roth. I suppose The Mentalist is finished, hasn't it? What else has he got going on?
Yeah, it's just that a lot of things.
You need to look at the CG involved in that, though. Like,
yeah, but he can control it though, so he wouldn't even need to change. He could just be Tim Roth.
Yeah, I suppose.
But then
again, you could just say, well, can you just get Jen and just have her in just sort of like...
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Minimal She-Hulk sense. Minimal She-Hulk mode.
Yeah.
Because they have a direct connection, then it would make more sense for her rather than a prisoner.
That makes more sense. It might happen. It might happen. We don't know.
I'd like to think so, because I think
if
she
not
needs
this season,
go.
next one.
But, you can't have him breaking people's arms and her just looking at the camera going, whoa, God, I can't believe I slept with that guy. Yikes.
That would be
Because
quite
then
funny,
he'd
though, I'll be honest.
be like, what the fuck are you on about? He's like, Dad, don't worry about
Who are
it.
you talking to? But I suppose it could work in that same capacity as Thor, where Thor's a great character, but I always think he's a better support character.
Honestly, I think that if you're going to get any cameos that are going to really take you off guard, it'll be Luke, it'll be Jess, it'll be Danny, it'll be Elektra, it'll be someone like that. You're just going, fucking hell, I didn't expect you to coming up. Oh, she did die, didn't she? Yeah.
But she's died multiple times, and the hand just bring her back. So it's
wasn't that a whole deal? This that she keeps on getting killed, and then
but it wasn't like at the end of it. She was like, oh, she's alive. It was just she's dead. Season 3.
I suppose. Yeah.
But I think if we saw, like, if let's say Jessica or Luke Cage, maybe not an Iron Fist, because I reckon they will replace Iron Fist completely.
But again, you do a second Shang-Chi, that you've got to have, that'll build up towards your Iron Fist there. Plus, wasn't she in the new Iron Fist?
I can't even remember how the that ended. I will say, I remember it getting better as it went on, but I don't know whether that's like when you start eating something, you go, oh, I don't like this very much, but you've ate so much of it, you just kind of got used to it.
Is Daredevil because Daredevil is on
Disney Plus? Yeah, they're all on there.
Is Iron Fist as well?
Yeah, and Defenders and Jessica Jones.
Really? That's interesting. I might actually have to go back and have a little crack at that. Moon Knight, I want to rewatch that, Callum, because that was actually fucking banging.
I enjoyed Moon Knight. And IGN, ever the smart people that they are, Moon Knight was rated at numbered 18 or something on their top 20 Disney Plus Marvel things. I was like, how the fuck is this so low?
Yeah, Daredevil, Jess Jones, Luke, Iron Fist. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Punisher. I don't like the fact that the Punisher's the last in that list, and then next to that is Ben Affleck Daredevil.
I think you can watch. I think you can sort it chronologically. I'm sure that's one of the options.
Well, no, this is just under the category of the Defenders.
Yeah.
Born Again, Echo. Was Echo in the Defenders?
It's that universe, isn't it? Murdoch shows up.
But that's not the Defenders. And then there's Echo. Then I suppose the Punisher's not in the Defenders either. But it's sort of like, and then but then Elektra is as well. No.
No.
Daredevil, Echo, Daredevil, Jess Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Defenders, Punisher, Daredevil, Elektra.
Very odd. I also only found out yesterday, Dan, the Dolph Lundgren Punisher movie. He didn't have a skull on his t-shirt.
No, it was just it was basically just sort of they were going for like a Rambo kind of deal.
I never liked
like
it.
1994 or something like that. No, that's the thing. I think that he's got the right sort of like gaunt, like jagged face and the body to do that guy really well. But you're also talking mid-90s where they had absolutely no idea how to make this sort of stuff properly.
Well, I was watching Miss Sunday Movies, and apparently, they had all of the. It wasn't like a rights thing or anything like that. They were allowed to use the skull. They started
watching the Punishers.
Yeah, I'm assuming leading up to what's happening. So obviously,
no way.
We'll have the thingy will be next, and then Warzone after that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But it was like they were saying they had all the rights. They could have done the skull. They could have done everything, but they just didn't want to do it because they didn't want it to look silly.
It'd be too silly. Yeah, of course it would be. It's again they got to go. You can't have spandex. You can't have silly costumes.
The same people made the Captain America film.
Yeah, how well would that have been
with the bike helmet?
Ridiculous. Like with all the cowboy movies or whatever that was going on at the time, it would have looked outrageous. So you can't have him in a blue suit with a white skull that's the size of his torso, with white boots and gloves.
I don't think they would have, but that's probably what they were thinking. That's what we'd have to do. Not here's a T-shirt with the skull on it.
Yeah, it's a bulletproof vest that's got a skull. but the skull itself has been redesigned because there's the skull as it is now. That's only been that for about 20 years or something.
Yeah.
Like the original, like from the 60s, was ridiculous. It was just like a big pirate Jolly Roger skull. Yeah. It didn't look terrifying. It looked it just looked like you'd want to shoot him in it.
That's a thing though with the. You've also got to take into account that they didn't have the shortcuts that they've got today, where not even today, but again 20 years ago, where we're moving into that digital art territory where you can easily reuse assets and slap them in and stuff. Whereas back then you'd have to redraw everything. Last thing you want to be doing is redrawing an intricate skull 58 times on 2 pages.
From a slightly different angle.
Yeah. So it made sense to simplify things a little bit. But even do you remember when he was in the Spider-Man animated cartoon? And obviously he had lasers then, not bullets in his guns. But I've never found that outfit to be overly... It's not scary or intimidating. And I don't know why a movie studio would go, well, if we've got to do the skull, we've got to do that costume. And you could just as easily just go, yeah, we'll slap it on somewhere somehow. Like, I don't know. But I never liked the Dolph Lundgren film anyway. It's not even one of those ones where I look back and go, I remember really enjoying it. I know it's a bad film, but I used to really enjoy it.
I've only watched it a couple of times, I think. I've only watched the Tom Jane one a few times because I was not a fan of that. The Warzone I've watched multiple times because I do think that it's so close to being a good representation. Like I think that Ray Stevenson did a wonderful job.
Yeah.
There's a lot of just like he just punches a guy so hard in the face his fist goes through his face. And like he's got a gun on someone whilst there's like a mob assault on this cop's family's house or whatever, and he's got a young girl in his arms and he's like, oh, look away. She looks back, and then because he's got a guy pointing at someone who's like, oh, give me your boss's details or whatever the fuck it was. It's been a while since I've seen it. It's by
the fridge or something, isn't it?
No, he's just sat in the dining room chair, and then he's got this gun pointed at him, and then he just pulls the trigger and just blows his face off. And I was like, that is blatant. Like, that is blatant, just cold-blooded execution. He's dead for sure.
Yeah.
Like, wasn't self-defense. He had nowhere to go, and you just blew his head off. Like, that is outstanding. Well done.
That's what it should be.
that is how you do it. Good grief.
I thought it's like, again, I didn't love the film, but it's the best one.
Outside of him, like all of the sort of the fillet, like Jigsaw, like the I can't remember what they're called now, like the parkour guys. Because they're in it. They're like an actual thing in the comics as well.
Yeah.
But they are so hammy and like just really corny and awful. It's not like an interesting, like he's so serious and they're just sort of like silly, wacky, whatever.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. Like if you recast that, or if you would just make them just normal mobsters, you'd probably get away with a lot more. It's just so over the top and so silly. It kind of ruins it.
I always felt like, in particular with Jigsaw, it was like they were going for that Joker vibe, where
like I mean the look, I like the face look.
I think it visually really quite good.
It's just that his acting, it's all like, come on. Yeah. It's all that. It's so stereotyping.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. And he's great in it. Like he's just a fucking prick. He's just murdering people all over the place. They've definitely they've looked at some of the novels where there's like, he'll just infiltrate like a mob mansion or whatever where they're all having breakfast.
Yeah.
And then he'll just pop out of a bush or whatever and just machine gun everybody to death. It's literally just that kind of vibe of just like, he doesn't give a shit, he'll kill everybody. There's a lot of tactics to it, like, where he's like, he dislocates his jaw to open up his inner ear canal so he can hear through a door. And then like stabs his gun through a door and shoots a grenade into it to blow everybody up. Like that whole sort of like, it's like a raid Judge Dredd kind of he's working his way up. Like that sort of stuff. There's a glimmer of like, oh, this could have been great. Like if this is what you were doing, he's just like, he's not invincible, but he's so coordinated and he's
just
so
tactically sound.
Like in The Punisher, where they do the one shot of him going fucking bananas when he's in Afghanistan or whatever, and he's just like clearing an entire building out, and he's like run out of bullets, and he's just like stabbing people to death, and he's getting shot and stuff like that, and it's just like, Christ, this guy, like, you put him on the streets and he would be unstoppable.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, people aren't, you know, if you're battle hardened and come out of a war zone, literally, the streets aren't going to be anywhere near as terrifying and intense as that, are you? Like, no wonder he would just be this absolutely terrifying menace it would be like Batman that would just come out of the shadows, but would set you on fire.
But that's
like, he'd be terrifying with that guy wandering around.
Like, when you've got like you say, he's come out of a war zone where you've got people who are equally as well trained as he is. He's just obviously to a different degree. But on the streets, a lot of them they've never been in a fight before. They've just got guns and they know how to shoot and load it. And that's about it.
I'm a soldier of the streets.
Yeah.
And it's just like, are you though?
That's nothing compared to someone like Castle. And I suppose him to a degree like Murdoch, where he obviously holds back a lot of the time. Same as Spider-Man, but to a different degree, because Matt Murdock hasn't got the strength of like fucking 3,000 tons or whatever. But it's... To Castle, these people literally are nothing. Then some of them might be lucky and get some shots on him, but for the most part, he's already figured out all the entrance exits, how many people are in there, how many bullets he's got, etc.
He's trapped the place.
Yeah,
booby traps and mines.
He hasn't just blindly walked into something without, because he hasn't got any powers. He's not superhuman. He's just a fucking idiot.
Well, that's
a very skilled
that was
idiot.
The thing that I always liked about him. It was his drive, like his willpower was almost like his rage and determination was that's almost his superpower. Like when he just goes into that mode, you know, it's not just a case of, you know, you hit him enough and it'll turn him on. Not turn him on, like turn on, like
yeah, that's it.
Keep it harder, but like it'll, you know, that's what triggers that sort of like, oh my god, and he sees red, and that's when there's a scene I love. I can't remember if I told you about this before, but I can't remember what happens, but he gets like recruited to go and recover someone's daughter, I think, from some sort of like, you know, he gets sent to, they take it to Siberia or Russia or something like that. And as there's this fighter called the Mongolian, I think. It's this tiny little guy, like incredible martial artist, and he's been kicking the shit out of him. And like I think this girl, I can't remember exactly what happens, but it's something along the lines. This girl tries to like sort of like go, oh, leave him alone. And he just sort of like backhands her or whatever. And that's it. That's the trigger. And, you know, he picks this guy up by his ankle and swings him so hard into a wall that his head explodes. Like, he just picks it up and just swings it and just smack into a wall and and that's it. He's just dead. And it's that sort of stuff that the personal one has kind of come quite close to, where, you know, he's just been pushed beyond his line. And that's what clicks his brain into actual Punisher mode, and that's when he's just like, he absolutely fucking goes spare on people. He
sells it quite well as well.
I think so. I think like he's actually quite a scary kind of guy. Yeah. Like when he sort of starts screaming in someone's face and he's covered in blood and he's beating someone with a hammer or whatever, I'm just like, yeah, fucking hell, mate. Bloody hell, you are quite worrying, aren't you?
That's a bit much.
Oof, bloody hell.
But that's the only thing that I felt is missing from the Bertham one so far. Not dig at him, because I think he's excellent, is the fact he hasn't been given that opportunity to go full berserker mode or get us
not to the extent that I'd be like, fucking hell. Like when he's just, you know, when he walks into a room and he's just got a fucking minigun and he'll just go, you're all just torn to pieces.
Well, even seeing that though, I think it is in Daredevil season 2 when Matt finds the place with all the meats hanging up, and then you got the guys hung up on the things. But we didn't get to see that happen.
But that's what I mean, though. That's the sort of stuff where it's like, it's really like, especially when Matt is trying to find out what the hell is going on, and like all these bars are just all torn up, and there's like guys just hung from roofs and stuff. That's the sort of stuff that I'm talking about, where you take the costume off him, he's a serial killer. Like, he is a Hannibal Lecter level.
Well, no, he's
absolute
not eating them, but
psychopath, like serial killer. Because you know, all of this is justified in his own brain.
Yeah,
and But that's the thing. It's so divisive, and that's why, like, you know, if you were to do these sort of BB reports and go, "What do you think of the Punisher?" You'd have half the people going, "Absolute monster! What the fuck? Why have they not just taken this guy out yet?" And then you've got the other people going, "I know, but bloody hell, they are terrified of him." And I'd rather they be terrified of him than I'm terrified of them.
Yeah.
And if he's scaring them all into submission and the ones that he's catching he's putting in the ground, that makes my day a lot easier.
Because that's even the case with someone like, if you asked Fisk the same question, he would be like, he's a murderer, a sociopath or whatever. But what's different between Bullseye or one of the goons he sent off to kill somebody else, or even Fisk himself? He murdered that scene. I still love that scene with the car door with the are they the Russians, aren't they? The two brothers. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're Russian.
Oh yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, the one that he kills with the car door. Anyway, but the difference with Frank is he only targets bad people for the most part, and you can't say the same, because even somebody like Bullseye, he's a trained assassin, and a paid assassin, will still kill kids and people that don't deserve it, and that's the only differentiation like between them, and that's a real thin line. It
is.
And I suppose you say the same for like someone like Moon Knight as well, even more so because he's not in control half the time.
I was going to say that's. He just wakes up and he's like, oh, what have I done now?
Yeah, there's all fucking blood everywhere.
It's fucking Egyptian gods that keep bothering me. Bloody hell.
But that's it, like Frank is, even though he's a murderer, he's still got that code. And
I think he's the sort of person that, you know, S.H.I.E.L.D. or something like that, Fury would be like, yeah, I know him. Or know of him, should I say.
Yeah.
I'll tolerate him. Like, if he steps out of it, if he crosses that line, we will laser him to death with a satellite or whatever. But at the moment, he's not necessarily in the way. He's not necessarily a bad guy. But, you know, if he decides to, you know, blow up a hospital, well, then, you know, we'll go at him and we know exactly who he is and where he is and whatever.
And that's the thing, you send fucking Iron Man or Thor or anything, like, Frank's good, but he's not going to take down Thor.
No.
And that, but I can see that being the same with, oh my God, I forgot his name, but the guy in Invincible, Nick Fury-esque. I've gone completely blank today.
Cecil.
So, yeah, it's the same kind of thing. But like, I could see Fury, like you say, just going. I mean, he's not killing good guys, so it's just like leave him to it. And it's that same with like Cyclops with the X-Men, where it's like the reason he makes like the original X-Force is because the X-Men can't just go and murder people, even though they deserve it, and it'll be better if they are dead. And that's why it makes the Black Ops unit with like Wolfbane and Wolverine, etc. Is like, just go and do it quietly.
Like, as long as he can't be traced back to us.
Yeah. And
press on.
That, whatever side of that moral line you fall on, sometimes that seems to be the case for a lot of these, not just superhero shows, just shows in general, where it is that divisive thing. Is it right to do it? To like kill one to save millions? And it's a moral thing that we can't answer. But you can still understand it from somebody like the Punisher's point of view, where he makes a lot of sense. Don't agree with it, but he makes sense.
In his own brain, like, you know, again, it is all coming from trauma.
Yeah.
So it's probably it's a soldier who's more than likely, got post-traumatic stress disorder from just the, intense inherent combat of what he's had to do. Because again, the reason that he's the soldier that he is because of his ability to be violent, and and then coming out of that, his only kind of like saving grace is his family, who are then all murdered.
Yeah.
Like it's like perpetual trauma that he's trapped in, and the only way that he can justify what's happened is that he's therefore there to stop anyone else from having to go through it. And the best way of doing that is what he's trained to do, which is just eviscerate them. And fear would be a powerful thing. You get people terrified of that fucking skull. You see anyone wearing it, you have no idea what they're going to be capable of. That's kind of the point. It's just that him using that image is him saying that, like, this is my, this is the bat symbol. This is what people see in the sky to be like, oh, fucking hell, maybe not. But, then someone using that to justify their own particular murders. I can't see that doing anything but incense him. Yeah. I'm just like, that's not what you're here for. That's my thing, and I fucking hate the fact that that's who I am, and no one's been tough enough to kill me yet. But you're not doing this.
Yeah. And that's I'm looking forward to seeing it, and I do hope he's in it for more than a one episode situation. But
I don't think they would have put him in the trailer if they hadn't done. I think that they know the key factors that they needed to hit to get people on board.
Yeah,
D'Onofrio being one, Cox being the other, and Berthnell bein the last. To just be like people going like, oh, you are sticking to this. We need something that's taken seriously as like an R-rated violent character. It's not all Star Lords and quips, and we need people with blood on their hands, and it can't just be like in a Black Widow sort of like it's all alluded to. And oh my god, remember what happened back in the day? We can't show you that though because Disney. Now they're going like we need something where we can kind of open up, and the blood pours. We've got things like the boys and whatever that we would be competing to some degree. And if people are going to say, oh, this is an R-rated show, that's not an R-rated show. Fucking hell, have you seen this one? Like, it's just, cocaine and tits everywhere. Like, you aren't capable of making a show that's that kind of violent. And this is the only kind of way of doing it reasonably. Like, The Punisher would be the only one where they can go, literally just smashing people's heads in, people being skinned, people being burnt, people being tortured to death. That doesn't seem very Disney, which is why it's sort of, again, like we would have talked about this fucking ages ago, but it's like, why would you try and bring that kind of character to that kind of world, given the studio and the brand that it's representing?
Yeah.
You can't do it justice, so therefore don't bother. You've got a lot of other things that you can work within the kind of the rule set of the Disney Marvel. They need to be a bit funny, and they need to have a little goatee, and they need to be morally qualmed, but they'll kill, but they don't feel great about it necessarily. But it's not going to stop them from doing it again. But crossing a line of just someone who's an active murderer,
that's the difference, though, isn't it?
That's the thing that makes me worried for this. Like, not just him in this, but if they decide that use this as a jumping off platform to relaunch a Punisher show, or again, the Thunderbolts would have been kind of a great place for him because everyone else is powered and a brawler and a fighter and a shooter, but they're all powered to some degree, with the exception of probably Elena, I guess. But then you've got him there, and like he's the Batman because he's like, I don't have any powers, but I can do this job fucking as well as any of you lot.
Yeah.
Like that would be. It just doesn't seem like that they would be able to cross that line for him properly.
Maybe not yet.
Because man, if you read the Punisher books, man, there isn't like there's kids' brains blown about all over the place. Like they do not fucking hold back. They want the reader to see the terrible world that he has to live in, and the reason why he's doing what he's doing is because there are people significantly worse than him out there.
Yeah. And
the only way that you'd feel safe at night is knowing that he's about shutting them down. And, him just sort of like beating someone with a chair leg. Is that the same kind of message? Or have you just got a guy that's violent for the sake of being violent?
I don't think we'll get to that level ever. But I think we'll get because again, if you bring in Punisher into Born Again, we've seen this show's going to be violent. We've had leg breaks and like elbows popping out and being thrown off buildings, and you see the splat, and we know it's going to be brutal. But if you want to go that extra mile, there's no better person to do it than the Punisher. And I don't think we're going to get the level of Punisher that maybe everyone's kind of craving, but at the same time...
Craven?
We're definitely not getting Craven. But I'm equally happy just to see Berthnell showing up again, because I think he was really good Punisher in Daredevil in his own 2 seasons as well. And if this is the kind of this is the Punisher you're getting, that's fine. I'm all right with that. But it would be really cool to see that bit more of that.
They just have one instance where they can just let loose.
Yeah, and that's either going to be in his own
we've
thing.
We've got your fucking Groot shorts, and we've got your Moon, like your what's it called, fucking Moon Girl.
Yeah.
Moon Girl. You got your animated things, you got your cartoons, you got your kiddie things. This one though, this is we're going. We've been trying to stick true to the source material for a lot of this, and we're bringing up characters like old characters. But this one, we're gonna, this is, people will be complaining about this.
Yeah, this is gonna be
because
bad.
It is like, there is like, my little Timmy loves all the Marvel stuff, and then there's Punisher, and he was like scooping some guy's eyeball out with a fucking with a knife, and he shot a dog into someone's face. Like, it would be like, oh my god, this is terrible. How could Disney make this? That's the only way that you could do it.
Yeah,
and they won't do it, in my opinion. I just don't think. Like, I think you're right.
I don't think we'll get to that exact level. I think it's going to be R-rated because there's swearing, blood, bones breaking, that kind of thing. But we're not going to get to like skinning and if it is, we'll see the aftermath. We won't see the during.
Or it'll be like silhouettes on a wall.
Yeah.
Like, like a Werewolf by Night, where it's just sort of, it's all implied.
Yeah, but we got a lot of that with the Punisher in the Daredevil season 2. Like I say, when he's putting them on the meat hooks, we don't get to see any of that happening. We only get to see it after it's already happened.
Maybe they'll do it all in first person. So it's just a room on fire, and it's just Frank blowing people away. But it's all outlines, so you can't really see anything.
I mean, what's the film? Is it something Henry? Hardcore Henry.
Hardcore Henry, yeah.
Yeah, they just film it all like that. It's a good film, but it's. I mean, there's a possibility we'll see a bit more brutal action from Frank, but I'd probably say the bar's already set for this season of Daredevil of layers of violence. But maybe not. Maybe not. Some of the best scenes in all the Netflix shows came quite unexpectedly. Like, nobody expected Fisk to take that guy's head off with a car door. But that wasn't, you didn't see that happening. But there's no reason I don't think they'll scale it back. They might stay on the same line, maybe go above it a little bit, but I don't think we're going to go full-blown Punisher.
No.
Maybe because the censors wouldn't allow it. Even if Disney wanted to.
Like, this isn't network TV. They can make whatever the hell they want.
There's got to be some thingies for it.
No, that's why they have the rating system.
I suppose, yeah. But that's the other thing.
Someone would need to review it. But, there's significantly more violence in other TV shows. Well, say TV shows, like other streaming shows. In other movies, there's significantly higher levels of violence and really outrageous gore. And all they do is they slap an 18 on it and go, right, off you pop then.
I suppose, yeah, if you put it up to the same level as something like Saw, having him go around, not setting up traps and stuff, making him play games, but just John Berthnell on a little tricycle.
I can't think of anything more terrifying than that man with a big skull screaming, coming at me on a tiny kid's tricycle. It'd be so confusing.
Just coming in and you got like Kingpin and Matt, and it's like, it's not entirely unpleasant seeing you again.
Ring, ring. The battle van anymore.
I still want to see that come to fruition.
Well, he's had a van.
Yeah, well, no, but that's been the theory for ages, isn't it? Like, he's the one that's in Winter Soldier and.
No. I mean, he's got a van in Daredevil.
Oh yeah, because Micros puts the stuff in it.
So it's not
which
like
is thing, as you pointed out the other day.
Which is the chappie playing Ben Grimm. Which I was just literally washing my hands in the toilet, and I was just like, wait. I don't know why. I was just thinking, obviously we know Frank's coming through into Daredevil. Again, sort of playing it over in my head. Who would be sort of interesting to get? Micro as a as Frank's like reluctant partner,
guy in
I
the
guess.
chair.
But now could you not do that because he's also Ben Grimm now? Like,
They'll just swap him out. He was at the point like I had to Google him.
If that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, they might just not have Micro. They might bring Georgia Thingy back, and she might just be the new sidekick, or just something completely random, or no one. But I'd like a throwaway thing, because obviously he's going to be in this universe with Frank and stuff. When they made that eventual cross to 616 or whatever the MCU timeline is, but Frank's like, he sees him in the paper or something, like, that guy looks familiar. He just holds up a beard and a thing. It's like,
big scruffy beard.
But nah, again, another thing looking forward to. But it seems like Disney are kind of like, they're on the right steps again to reclaim some of the magic that's been lost with some of the later
maybe. But again,
releases.
That's not because it feels like we're aiming in a certain direction. It feels like things are kind of slowly but surely coming back to a focal point. But I don't know what that is. I think it would be the Fantastic Four. It would be Doom. It would be something along those lines. That this is the new big bad. It would be Galactus. It will be whatever. And that's why everyone has to now start to come together.
Yeah, which again makes sense. You got the Russos back involved with stuff, and
well, have you seen Brave New World yet?
No,
me either. No. See, that's the thing. I don't know. Other than Red Hulk in it, he might be a bit of an antagonist, but he's not going to be like a big bad. And then you've got the Thunderbolts, and I don't really know what the hell's going on in that. It's not as if this is all leading towards something bigger.
The problem with, like, I already know a lot of the spoilery stuff for Brave New World that I won't spoil now. But the stuff in there, I'm like, but then it doesn't seem like it's leading to anything else. Thunderbolts, we've already kind of got a vague idea of what's going on with, obviously, Bob is.
Bob, what?
You got to see Bob in the first trailer for Thunderbolts. If you don't know who he is, I won't say.
I only know Hydra Bob.
No, but he's somebody else, and that somebody else is way too powerful for the Thunderbolts and way too powerful for the Avengers and the Fantastic Four. So having him in this film is a bit like, unless that's going to lead somewhere, they won't beat him, and if they do, it'll be a bad film. But it's they're the two mainline MCU movies at the moment, and Thunderbolts I'm a lot more interested in than Brave New World, I'll be honest. But I'm more the last two trailers for Thunderbolts has been very stylized, I'd say, where like Brave New World was like it's espionage action similar to The Winter Soldier, and then none of the trailers have seemed anything like The Winter Soldier, whereas Thunderbolts seems very much like The Winter Soldier, which excites me a lot because that's probably still my favourite MCU movie. I love that film. And even like Wyatt Russell and stuff, they all seemed to be having a much better time with their characters this time round. But again, the film might come out, it might be fucking dog shit. But from what I've seen, I'm very excited for it. Very excited. But again, that might not lead to anything. And it seems to be a wasted opportunity. Maybe if we see more with if it's well received and we see more, then we'll see somebody like Castle jump across to the Thunderbolts part of the MCU, because that's where he'd be needed. Like, Daredevil doesn't need his help.
No, you need a maniac you can just point in a certain direction.
Yeah. Plus, you've also got the people that he has gone too far. We need to hold him back. You've got Red Guardian, you've got US Agent, and you've got Winter Soldier that could all physically overpower him.
Oh, significantly, yeah.
Yeah. So you've got those people that can keep him in, like Daredevil can't keep him in line. No one in New York can keep him in line.
No. But police can't, no one can.
But even you've got a team that's also he's out of control. We need to put a bullet in his fucking head. You hold him down and I'll shoot him. Like, you've got a team that would do that.
Yeah, the ones who go, I won't lose any sleep over this.
Yeah, they're already mostly, with the exception of even Winter Soldier's he's done his fucking shit in the day. But obviously he's there to steer them in the right direction. But again, is Red Hulk going to make an appearance in it? Because he should. The team's named after him. And obviously in the comics, he's the one that puts it all together. But again, I've got a feeling a lot of this stuff's made within maybe the anticipation of it might not go anywhere. We'll see how well it does, and then we'll make a decision from that. But I am looking forward to Thunderbolt, so I'm looking forward to that. But we're going to have to...
roughly? Do we know?
I want to say June, but I could be wrong. Let's have a very, very quick Google.
No, be very careful, because you type that in, it's going to just be like, oh my god, this thing's happening.
Oh, no, I'm just going to put Thunderbolt's release date. UK. 2nd of May.
Oh, dang. That's actually pretty close then.
Quite close.
Sweet.
Put me in... So, not next month after. So just over a month away, really. That's pretty exciting. But yeah, I really like the look of it. I do suggest watching the Super Bowl trailer, because that's the last one I watched, and it was very good. I really enjoyed it. But we'll see. Daredevil will be back again on, I want to say, Wednesday. Or is it Thursday? It is Wednesday.
It is every Wednesday. That's
so
correct. We've
got that to look forward to. And I think we'll leave it there, Dan, because we are coming up to, well, we've passed the 2-hour mark now, and I ain't got anything else to talk about. So
No, that'll do, I reckon.
If you want to see more, you can go to podcastfirstplay.com. It's all going along at the bottom of the screen, as is all of the other stuff, such as YouTube and the like. If you haven't watched Daredevil Born Again episodes 1 and 2, why have you made it this far into the podcast? I don't But definitely go check it out. It's very much worth watching. Dan,
yes,
thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.